All right, everybody. Welcome to the Contextual Christian Church Bible study, where today we're going to read Isaiah chapter 47, verse 5, to chapter 48, verse 2. I'm going to pray it in. Everybody bow your heads. Father, there's some things going on our ends. Thank you for still allowing us to come together to get this Bible study in, to get more context in Isaiah, and to learn a couple more things. Always good to learn something new when we get through Isaiah, things that other YouTubers don't talk about, or other preachers don't talk about. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. So, last time what we had gotten into, we finished up chapter 46 and got a little bit into chapter 47. And what we got into 46 was literally just finishing up how God had cared for his people and the way that he considered them. Everything that how he cared for them compared to how the gods of Babylon were doing. And then he brought up something that was interesting that I have to bring up from this is he told them to remember. I mean, not just the comparison to remember, but calling them, "O ye transgressors." And he say, "Remember that the former things are old." So, in other words, he's telling them to turn back and follow him and remember that he's done everything to prove that he's the God and how things are supposed to be if they were actually went back when they were doing right by him, that everything was good. Talked about his power going, which he's been saying that again and again, and then brought up about his salvation. But the part that I verse one, he brought up something that in verse one of chapter 47 that the people of Babylon or the daughter or the generations of Babylon to stop pretending you're clean when you're not. Using the example of a so-called virgin, but telling her to sit on the ground to expose her true to expose who she really is. And that's what we were getting into in chapter 47. And the last thing that we read in verse 4 was, as for the Redeemer, who the children of Israel have, the Lord of hosts is his name, the Holy One of Israel. Again, referencing the Christ. Now, I'll switch it to our first section in chapter 47, verse 5, so our first reader can read. And go ahead, Charles, when you're ready.
I'll be reading Isaiah chapter 47, verses 5 to 9. Verse 5. Sit thou silent and get thee into darkness, O daughter of the Chaldeans. For thou shalt no more be called the lady of kingdoms. I was wroth with my people. I have polluted mine inheritance and given them into thine hand. Thou didst show them no mercy. Upon the ancient hast thou very heavily laid thy yoke. And thou saidst, I shall be a lady forever. So that thou didst not lay these things to thy heart, neither didst remember the latter end of it. Therefore, hear now this, thou that art given to pleasures, that dwellest carelessly, that sayest in thy heart, I am, and none else beside me. I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children. But these two things shall come to thee in a moment, in one day, the loss of children and widowhood. They shall come upon thee in their perfection for the multitude of thy sorceries and for the great abundance of thine enchantments. So It's funny how verse 4 and how we ended on the last one, because 5 is really it really goes with like verse 1 of this chapter, not with
Yeah.
4. So it's connected with 1. So I have to give it as a standalone. But that's all it's connected to was verse 1, not verse 4. Um, and as far as sections go, it sounds like a this before I get into the sections, this sounds like no, let me do the sections because I have a funny analogy of something that actually happened to me. I have not a funny analogy, but I actually have a funny story that actually happened to me that kind of goes with this. Section 1, verse 5. Section 2, verse 6. And 7 and 8 is section 3 because of God talking about how they had this pomp of themselves, pride of themselves, ego of themselves, the Chaldeans specifically having that ego
Yeah.
and pride of themselves. Verse 9 is section 4.
But you said 5 is not connected?
Not to 4 I said I had it connected to 1 but not to 4. So
You sure about that? Did you forget what I just explained about verse 1 through 4
yeah, it is, well, like I
in
said,
the summary?
it is connected to 1, but how is it that direct connection to 4? So it's wouldn't this be a majority to the section than a minority?
Oh, you said it backwards. You said,
So
wouldn't
what
this
the
be majority connected to the section, not minority?
well, no, not I didn't mean to say the section. Just because it's verse 1 that I have it connected to.
It's not just verse
Um,
1.
well, 1, 2, and 3 I have it connected to.
There you go. Yeah, 1
Yeah,
through
I have it
3.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I have it connected to 1, 2, and 3, but because Vor separates it,
Well, you just said it's not connected at all. You didn't say it's minority connected. And when you said connected to 1, you said verse 1.
yeah, I didn't say verse 2 and 3.
Now, if you would have said verse 1 to 3, you'd be accurate. If you were to say it's minority connected because the concept of 1, 2, and 3 are connected, but not verse 4 is not connected, then you'd be accurate. But when you just said that it's not connected and then didn't put it as like minority majority, remember we started doing that, remember?
Yeah,
So you're pretty much right. It's not connected to 4, but it is minority connected because it's in the same realm of the majority of the chapter and what it's talking about. The
if it's the
overall is
overall, yeah,
connected and the above all is connected. Because the
yeah,
above all is still comparing God to other gods, the true God to the false gods. The overall is the overall is how Babylon's gods and Babylon is dirty but trying to act like it's clean.
got
Then
it.
verse 4 is a standalone verse, just
Mhm.
pointing out, like, okay, you're dirty, you're this, you're that. But you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
So it's not like you were entirely wrong, just not quite right with saying it's not connected. Because it's not just verse 1. It's the overall and above all concepts are actually that.
Yeah, yeah, I got you.
But separate from that, keep going with your sections. Because you said 7 and
Um,
8 are a section.
I got 5 as a section, 6 as a section, 7 and 8 is the third section, and then I have 9 as the fourth section.
Good. That's perfect. Go ahead with your explanation then.
So with my explanation, I'm gonna use this and I'm gonna compare it to what actually happened to me in real life. When God starts off with "Sit thou silent and get thee in the darkness, daughter of Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called the Lady of Kingdoms." I'll
Oh,
take the.
Charles.
Is it
Charles, you
going
just
in and
straight
out?
went blank.
It went blank. Let me
Yeah,
repeat
you
what I
went
was saying.
straight blank, bro.
What I was saying was how verse 5 starts out. Sit thou silent and get thee in the darkness, O daughter of Chaldeans. I'm gonna paint the picture, the comparison, because this makes me think about what actually happened to me. My mom is talking about sit your butt down, sit over there in the corner.
Exactly.
And when he said, "For thou shalt no more be called the Lady of Kingdoms," my mom comes in, is so you calling yourself, and I have to say this first, and then I'll explain the whole thing. It'll all come together. So you claiming on the phone that you give better punishments to Chad and Jasper than I do? You think you're the better son? You're not going to be called the better son. You're not going to be called the favorite son anymore. Verse 6, God talks about, I was wroth with my people. I have polluted my inheritance and given them into thine hand. God was,
Bro, you are going in and out.
I'm still going in and out.
Yeah.
Hello? Did
And
you
it's
hear me?
definitely
Did you hear my,
and I just realized it is definitely you because I'm seeing on your microphone when your voice cuts out. Even when I have bad signal, I can see when my voice is coming through or not, and your voice is the one that's cutting out.
give me a second. Let me move to the dirt.
Are you near a truck stop at all?
Golden Gate, Sparks.
Golden Gate, Golden Gate. Which one's that one?
They got a dirt lot in the back. Let me see if it's better there.
Because I know the if you're talking, are you talking about by the Anytime Fitness?
Yeah.
Oh, I've had bad signal sketchy in and out. It's not great there. It goes in and out. So that's definitely it'll be better if you're over at the Anytime Fitness when you're doing it.
I won't be able to make it in time because of traffic. There's a dirt lot here. I'm gonna see if it's better here. Sounds like so far you can still hear me. Can you still hear me?
I hear you good right now, but wherever you were just a second ago, you were bad. Like you when you were going into your explanation. So what was the difference between
Um,
you were going explanation and now?
well, I did five and I was going into six, but I might have to redo five. So I don't think you heard me with five.
Um, you I heard a little bit of five, I should say, but we didn't hear the full thing of five. When you started going to the explanation about being the better son, that was when it was started cutting off.
So okay, so when I brought up my explanation of me, when God is talking to the Chaldeans, God is telling them to sit your butt down over there, sit over there. I brought that up as an example of when my mom told me that when she walked in the house one day. Then I brought up, for thou shalt no more be called the Lady of Kingdoms. I brought up an example of how my mom said, for now on, you won't be called the best son or the better son or you're the favorite son no more. This is because this is I'm in a chastising punishment moment right now, which like the Chaldeans, God is putting them in this. I'm about to I'm about to give y'all some punishment, but sit down first. I hope that came out.
That came out good, but the only problem with that example is when you said that when you related it to about to punish. Because what have we been discussing in this chapter? This is why I said it's important to not discount the connection entirely. What have we been talking about this chapter?
Well, we've been talking about the comparison and really the Babylonians and the Chaldeans, but and exposing them.
There you go. The exposing of them. And then it says the you will no more be called the Lady of Kingdoms. Well, how is the word lady used in this time frame?
Isn't lady used like no, that's virgin. That's a different one. Lady would just be well here, let me go to the Strongs. How would it be used for?
No, 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 no. You're not hearing my question. In this time frame, this time of writing, or when translating even, How was the word lady generally used? Was it used just to represent a woman, or was it more specific than that?
I'm trying to remember what else it was used for. I don't remember at the moment because I still got the virgin one in my head. I don't have the lady one
I
right now.
mean, you should be able to notice, how does society use the word lady before recent years?
They're
Did lady was it generically a woman, or was it more specific to a kind of woman?
righteous woman. A
Yeah,
woman
a
that does
woman
the
with
right.
poise, a woman with morality, a woman who takes care of herself. That was a lady. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So when it says, "For thou shalt no more be called the Lady of Kingdoms,"
So you won't be called the righteous one anymore, like the righteous ladies anymore. The ones that
what
did
is
the
the
right
act?
thing type ladies.
Exactly, the beautiful, the poised, the right. You see what I'm saying?
So you won't be called that anymore. Got it.
So when you got into the part in your example about you're about to be punished, that's not what it's saying. It's not saying that you're about to get into your punishment son anymore. That's the part that's Act 5. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
All right. And keep that in mind because that's important for when we go into 7. But go ahead and explain 6.
Got it. So for verse 6, God is talking about he was like Hulk angry mad at his own the children of Israel, at his people. He made filth of his inheritance and gave them to the Chaldeans. He gave them to them. But God also brought up that you didn't show them any mercy. And he brought up a interesting example about upon the ancients hast thou verily laid thy yoke. And ancient, I'm taking that as like the elders, old. So you were you gave no mercy when I gave my people to you. You showed no mercy at all. You treated them like filth, in other words, and you put a burden on them. You took the punishment too far, in other words. If you heard that clearly, I don't know if all that went through. I don't know if that's
Yes.
connection.
Yes. No, I heard that. That was perfect.
Now, the reason why I wanted to compare it to what happened with me was my mom, she went out and I had she gave me the okay to punish Chad and Jasper, my brother and my cousin, if they acted a fool. So I did, but I took the punishment too far. It was a butt whooping, and I turned the cartoons off, and I took the video games. But I went too far with the punishment.
You was the super strict parent as the brother.
No, I was a super strict, but I also kind of I did take it too far because I was like, if y'all don't start crying, if y'all don't stop crying, I'm not making any food. So I didn't make no food.
No.
So I didn't feed him either. So yeah, I took it too far. Yeah, yeah.
I don't know that that's too far. I mean, I think that's a good punishment if somebody don't want to stop crying. All right, then you don't get to eat tonight.
I thought it was too, but I'm like, you still gotta eat. Now you're not crying. You stop crying from the butt whooping, but now you're crying from hunger pains because ain't nobody made you nothing. So I was like, I probably should have fed you and kept it pushing. But that's what I was trying to compare to with that situation. Um,
Hmm.
Now verse 7, and thou saidest, I shall be a lady forever, so that thou didst not lay these things to thy heart, neither didst remember the latter end of it. What
Oh, you
God
just
said
cut out.
again,
Now that was mine that cut out.
how do you know it was yours versus mine?
My microphone, when I talk, will stay gray. I won't see the green for my voice. That's how I knew you were cutting out earlier.
Okay.
But this time, for some reason, it was me cutting out.
Gotta love Zoom. I'm blaming Zoom for this one now.
Yeah, this makes no sense because we both have high signal right now.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
But in verse 7, What God is sounds like it's saying, what God is sounds like it's saying is they have this that they're putting this ego, this confidence. I'm gonna be the righteous, the beautiful, the pure lady. I'm gonna be all of these things. But God is letting it be known that you have this ego, you have this
Hold on,
pride.
hold on, hold on. No, 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 no. They didn't say they were going to be righteous. They said that they were a lady. Do you get the difference
Yeah, sorry.
between that?
Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah, no. What I was trying to do was the description of the lady. That's my bad. I was trying to do the description of the lady that we brought up earlier.
Yeah. Saying that they're going to be a lady means an image.
Hmm.
So basically, your problem is like when you said that I'm going to be the lady, I'm going to be righteous. No, 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 no. They're saying that I am righteous. I am the lady, and I will stay that way. Going to be is a future reference statement.
Not a present tense.
Remaining, yeah, like there's a difference between going to be versus remaining. If I'm remaining a certain way, I already am that and I'm continuing. If I'm going to be a certain way, then I'm not that currently, but I will be. The second one references change. The first one references staying the same. You see what I'm saying?
Right. So when it says I shall be a lady forever, and I have to bring that up as oh no, I have to bring it up because they have the ego now, so it's present tense and it's present and future.
I
So
already gave you this heads up too, didn't I?
you mean just now or from before?
No, no, before. Like before in this Bible study, when you were going through five, what did I tell you?
To keep in mind from the previous verses.
Exactly, because it's necessary for verse 7. I said specifically, said, Thou shalt no more be called the Lady of Kingdoms. Well, if you're going to no more be called, then what are you currently being called?
The Lady of Kingdoms.
Do you see what I'm
Hello?
saying, Charles?
Repeat that last part.
Yeah. Okay. I said, if you're no more going to be called that, then what are you currently called?
You're currently called the Lady. Yeah, Lady of Kingdoms.
Exactly. So if you're currently called the Lady of Kingdoms, and then in verse 7, you say, I shall be a lady forever. Are you saying I'm going to become a lady forever? Or are you saying I'm going to stay a lady forever?
I'm gonna stay a lady forever.
Exactly. And as a matter of fact, for explanation's sake, I would say even saying that is wrong because you're not actually a lady. You're just claiming to be a lady or you're known as a lady. So it would even be more accurate, I would say, to actually say what it means is that the Babylon is claiming that they're going to stay being known as a lady forever, that they'll always have this beauty. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
All right. Now
So now next,
go ahead and continue.
so that thou did not. Oh well, no, I already got that part. Therefore, hear now this: thou that art given to pleasures, that dwellest carelessly, that sayest in thine heart, I am and none else beside me. I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children. When I read that, this made me think of that ego, that pride, that pomp that they have. That God is calling them out for that they have in themselves. None else is beside me. Like what God says, there's no other God beside me. They're claiming that as well. That we won't have widows, we won't lose children. They're overconfident.
Exactly.
lifting themselves up, and that's what I'm thinking about. God calling them out. That's what they're doing. That's what they've been doing. So therefore, because y'all been saying this, y'all had this ego, you guys had this pride, talking about you won't be widows, talking about you won't lose children. In verse 9, he talks about you will lose children. You will have widowhood. These two things we're talking about, and they're gonna come, and it brought up in a moment, in one day, you will lose your children and with the Thanos snapping. Because you claimed you wasn't gonna have these things, we're gonna Thanos snap you in the widowhood. We're gonna Thanos snap all the loss of children. let me read
Exactly.
the let me read the other part of verse 9. They shall come upon thee in their perfection for the multitude of thy sorceries and for the great abundance of thy enchantments. I have to be able to re-explain this. So I get where he's coming from with the part of losing the children and everything, but and that how it's coming in the more it's coming with the Thanos snap. But I have to be able to re-explain this part. They shall come upon thee in their perfection for the multitude of thy sorceries. Give me 10 seconds.
Not a problem. One thing, though, you need to keep in mind what perfect means in the Bible, not what perfect means today.
Thanks for the heads up. I'm still struggling to get the right way to say to re-explain this last part of verse 9.
All right. Well, what does perfection mean in the Bible terms?
Wasn't perfection in Bible terms like it's complete, it's done, it's
Well, not necessarily done, complete, yes. But complete can mean like totality, not necessarily completion. Do you see what I'm saying? It's not like finishing a
um
product.
give me an example of a totality completion.
I drank the complete amount of this water bottle.
Whole amount of water bottle. Got it.
Mhm.
So when he's
So,
just
do you have
saying
enough?
they shall come upon thee in their perfection for the multitude of thy sorceries, isn't that just re-saying what I had said with the whole like Thanos snap, but just adding the detail of the whole all of y'all gonna get it kind of thing? Like
No, like they're going to completely take over. They're going to completely do it. Yeah, exactly.
like that's what I meant, as in everybody's getting that. Because if you're talking about a whole, like a completely, like when you brought up that water bottle, I'm thinking if we're talking about a whole complete type thing, everybody's getting this.
But it could be reference into how they're doing right and you're doing wrong. They're complete in God, whereas you're doing this. It could be a comparison to the two. Do you see what I'm
So
saying?
no, I don't. Not with the comparison part.
Okay. So, they shall come upon thee. So the ones that I'm going to have take over you, they're going to come upon you in their perfection, doing everything the right way at that time, doing it the way it's supposed to have been done because of the multitude of your sorceries and the great abundance of the mass amount of your enchantments. Persia, or the first king from the time of taking over Babylon, how did he treat the children of Israel?
How did who treat the children of Israel? Cut out.
The first Persian king, after they took over, when they took, not after, when they took over Babylon.
If I
Not the
remember
first
correctly,
verse, but when they first took over.
he let them go. He didn't treat them. He treated them fair. Let me say that, and he let them go and do what they were supposed to do. We just read about him.
Yeah. Not only that, what did it describe him as? Described him as the shepherd of God. That he was there taking care of the people.
Mhm.
You see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying.
So it could be in reference to the kind of leadership and the way that they go about being over the children of Israel would be done in the right way. Versus, because we're comparing the treatment of the children of Israel from the Babylonian people to the people that are going to come after them. You see what I'm saying?
Now I see what you're saying. Yes.
That's one way to look at it. So it could go either way. Either they're going to completely take you out, they're going to do it in perfect fashion or complete fashion, in other words, totality, or it can be referenced into how they take you out and how they treat the children of Israel will be done in perfection when they do it, versus how you did it, where you did it in all these different problems.
Now it makes sense. Yes.
Okay. All right. Now, any comments or questions as we go to the second section? Now would be the time to raise your hands. All right. Now I'll be reading chapter 47, verse 10 to 14. And I'll give everybody a second. Verse 10. For thou hast trusted in thy wickedness. Thou hast said, none seeth me. Thy wisdom and thy knowledge, it hath perverted thee. And thou hast said in thine heart, I am, and none else beside me. Therefore shall evil come upon thee. Thou shalt not know from whence it rises, and mischief shall fall upon thee. Thou shalt not be able to put it off, which thou shalt not know. Stand now with thine enchantments, and with the multitude of thy sorceries, wherein thou hast labored from thy youth. For if so be thou shalt be able to profit, if so be thou mayest prevail. Thou art wearied in the multitude of thy counsels. Let now the astrologers, the stargazers, the monthly prognosticators stand up and save thee from these things that shall come upon thee. Behold, they shall be as stubble. The fire shall burn them. They shall not deliver themselves from the power of the flames. There shall not be a coal to warm at, nor fire to sit before it. All right, so is 10 connected to 9? Yes. We're continuing down the path of why they're going to be taken out completely. It brought up first about their sorceries and everything in 9, and then in 10, it expanded to overall wickedness. Now, is 11 connected to 10? Minority connection. The overall is connected, but the direct point is not. Because in 10, we're talking about why this is happening. And then 11, we're talking about punishment that's going to come in response to why. Then 12 is separate as well, because 12 is calling out the claims of Babylon and their so-called strength, their so-called abilities. 13 is connected to 12, and 14 is minority connected because even though they're still talking down about the abilities of the so-called enchantments and everything, but actually, no, I'd say it's majority connected. There's a little bit disconnect, but it's majority connected with its main point. So the sections would be 10 is one section, 11 is another section, and then 12 to 14 is the last section. Did you get that, Charles?
I got you after at 13 it cut off. Repeat 13 and
12 to
14.
14 is connected. 12 to 14.
Okay,
Because
got it.
even though there's a small disconnect from 13 to 14, it is majority connected.
Got it.
All right. Now, as towards the explanations. For verse 10, we got more of the reason why they're going to be taken down and more of the reason why this so-called claim that they have the imagery of a lady, that they got that beauty, they are the righteous. No. The wickedness is part of the reason. But also, look at the claim that it does. Look at, for as they said, thy wisdom and thy knowledge, it hath perverted thee. So your so-called wisdom and knowledge is what made you deter from the truth. Now, doesn't that sound a little bit familiar? We see that today. You have all this so-called wisdom, all this so-called knowledge, yet you don't have the wisdom and knowledge to be able to get context, to be able to see all the evidence and believe and follow, or to get the context and follow what the word says on the religious side. So, whether from the non-religious to the religious, we see that same concept happening even today. People who are so smart in certain areas, but so dumb in everything else. Now, as it pointed out, I am and none else beside me. Well, look at the definition for the word I am, Charles.
It doesn't give you a definition till after none else.
Exactly. So we got to be cautious here in situations like this. That's why it's good. I'm glad I had you look that up. God's name, Yahovah, Jehovah, for God the Father, for the Father Godhead, I should say. His name translates to I am because it translates to always existing. I exist, or I'm always existing, or the ever existing one. So if we're not cautious, you could take where it says I am and think that they're claiming themselves to be God. Now, when we look at it here, is the concept the same?
The broader concept, yes,
Besides
is the
me?
same. But
Yes and
oh,
no, it is.
oh, you can hear me.
Yes,
Okay, cool.
it is. You said what?
I was saying you could hear me because it had went in and out. So go ahead.
No, I didn't hear you until you said you could hear me.
Oh,
Did you
my
say
bad.
something
I
else?
thought I did because I thought you were because it went silent, so I thought you were asking a question. You already
What
answered
part
it
was?
though.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, anyways, then it could be that, but not necessarily, because if you're saying that there's none else beside me, you're saying I'm the only one that matters. And really, if we look at it from that standpoint, that level of pride, I'm the number one. There's no one else beside me. Do you even need to go into the point of I am God to already be treating yourself as God?
No, you don't.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So that's the whole point of it. Yeah, you are acting as if you're God because you're acting as if you're the number one priority, as if you come before God. Well, if you come before God, there's a term for that. It's called idolatry. You are your own idol. And if you are your own idol, then you are your own God. Does that make sense, Charles?
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right. Now, now we get into 11 where we get into the punishment for this. Bringing up again as to that's why all this evil is going to come upon you. Your perversion, your fake righteousness, your so-called claim of being like a lady when you're nothing like it, that's part of the reason you're going through this to begin with and why it's going to happen suddenly. It's not going to be something that is, it's not going to be something you could just put off. That's something that you could stop. And it's going to happen out of nowhere to you. Then, in verse 12 to 14, we have the same thing going through, but I'll go to 12 to 13 for a specific point because I want to point out something specific of 14. So for 12 to 13, so since this is going to happen to you, go ahead and stand with your enchantments, your sorceries, all the magic and all this other stuff. And then in 13 it says also it goes in 12 to the concepts of enchantments and sorceries. And then in 13 it goes into the people that perform those. Now this is interesting because this verse is why Christians cannot be into astrology, cannot be into tarot cards, cannot be into all those kinds of things. Because what do we have here? Astrologers, stargazers, monthly prognosticators. Charles, look up prognosticator both once in the the Bible dictionary and then look it up in the internet
Okay.
because that's an English word.
All right. So for the Strong's H3045, a primitive root to know, properly to ascertain by seeing, used in a great variety of senses, figuratively, literally, euphemistically, and infernishly or affirmatively, including observation, care, recognition, and causatively instruction.
Exactly.
Desi-
That's good enough for that.
okay,
Wait on the internet one,
okay.
but that's good enough for that. So monthly prognosticators, people that determine things monthly. Well, if you're determining things monthly type thing, what does that sound like, Charles?
Sounds like fortune telling to me. Sounds like the lady that gives you
Yeah.
prophecies.
Like horoscopes, maybe? Oh, this is my upcoming month's horoscope. Oh, the moon is in retrograde. Ugh. Now look up online for prognosticators.
Give me a sec. Let me make sure I spell this right. A prognosticator, Google, is a person or a thing that predicts, forecasts, or foretells future events based on present signs, indications, or special knowledge.
Exactly. Signs and wonders to predict the future. What does that sound like? Sounds perfectly aligned with fortune telling, fortune cookies. This is why I tell you all the time when I do fortune cookies, like you said, like they're important. I had to correct you on that. I was like, no, 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 they're not. I find them entertaining. There is a very big difference between finding something entertaining versus doing it because I'm actually taking it seriously. I can't even do fortune cookies with somebody who does take it seriously because if I do that, then I would be giving in to their delusion and making them think it's more real. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Ironically, this conversation came up with me and my nephew a couple days ago because he asked if one of his friends had tarot cards, if I would do the tarot cards. And I said, well, no, it depends. It depends. Are we doing it just for fun, and it would matter, like, does that person think there's legitimacy to it? Because if I'm willing to do it and you think there's legitimacy to it, I'm telling you it's okay to delve into something that you could go to hell for. Like, literally, continuing down that path could lead to hell. And what kind of love and what kind of Christian mindset is that if I don't care about your soul? So, as a game, as a fun thing, just entertaining wise, that's one thing. But even if I were to look at that, it would only be like fortune cookies at like Panda Express. It came with the food. Oh, this is fun. Let's see what happens today. Not taking it seriously. But if I was ever with somebody that does take it seriously, I would never get involved with it because I don't want you thinking there's legitimacy to it. Because, and here's the other part. We got to bring up the facts of it. There is some legitimacy to it. There is some. Do you know how we know, Charles? And this is Bible, actually. You know how we know there's some legitimacy to it? Not entirely, but a little bit.
Go ahead.
Because that's how they found out where Jesus was. It didn't say the wise men got warned in a dream that he was coming and told to go there. That's not what it said. How did they find out where Jesus was? What did it say?
Didn't we just read about this? The something in the east, something like that.
Exactly. They saw his star in the east.
Oh, that's what it was.
These so-called wise men saw the star that was to show where the Messiah was coming, and it was in the east and to shine over where he is. We saw his star in the east. What does that sound like? Sounds like stargazers. So then now here comes the question then. If they were able to do that, can we say it's all bunk? That it's all trash?
No, we
No,
can't.
we can't. There has to be some legitimacy to it because they were able to do that. But just because they were able to do that, does that mean it's righteous? Just because they did that to try to find the Messiah, does that make it righteous? If I have to snort cocaine in order to get to a preacher that he might be able to be saved, is it okay for me to snort cocaine?
No.
No. You can't go through sin to get to righteousness. The moment you go through sin, the entirety of it is sinful. And you can have righteous outcomes from sinful situations. We see God do that. We see things happen, but God never does any sinful. God never does anything. But he uses people who are already sinful to have lessons learned, among other concepts. So you can't do sin to make righteous, but you can live through sin and to get to the righteous. Have sinful circumstances that are happening and righteous outcomes, but you can't be performing sin and end up righteous. Not for that particular situation. If in the individual situation, if you start off doing something sinful, then you are sinful for that period. So even though they brought gifts, even though they came to see the Messiah, they still did wrong in doing that, which goes again to where God can use somebody who is sinful and use their behavior and choice to have righteous outcomes take place. God can use anybody, sinner or righteous, still works according to his plan. He just manipulates their choices, knowing what kind of choices they'll make. They still have to choose it. So, astrologers might get something right. Stargazers might get something right, but it's still sinful. And one other thing I got to bring up that this reminds me of. We read about where people were prophets and they prophesied something and it turned out to be true, but then they tell people to turn away to another god. So that means sometimes false prophets can be right. So how do we know whether they're of God or not? It used to be at the beginning, at the very beginning, that if their prophecy was true, you were able to know because their prophecy was true. But then later on, after more time happened, you had false prophets that could sometimes get things right. And when a false prophet does, then what do? So God had to explain for that. Now we get it in astrology and stargazers and like diviners, so to speak, divining the future based on the beginning of the month or whatever, or how the stars look and everything. Just because you can get something right does not make it of God. Never get that confused. And don't let people lie to you and say that there's no legitimacy at all. There is some, but it's really is bunk overall. But there is minute truth in each. Actually, I won't say truth. There is minute accuracies in each. Now, the last thing in verse 14, we had where he talked about go ahead and let them do it and trust in them. That was 12 and 13. And 14 is where it points out that more specifically that it's pointless because they're going to burn just like stubble burns. Think about if you had a fire that caught your facial hairs on fire. That stubble going to burn. The fire is going to burn them. Well, if we're talking about fire burning them, and then it says, they shall not deliver themselves from the power of the flame. There shall not be a coal to warm at it, nor fire to sit before it. So in other words, if you have no fire to sit before it, and you have no coal to warm it, what's keeping the fire burning? It's just continual burning on its own, and they're going to burn. Well, where do we hear about something that's burning on its own and continuing to burn, Charles?
That's condemnation. That's hell.
Exactly. So I hope you had fun with your divinations. Hope you had fun with your astrologies. Hope you had fun with your horoscopes and your stargazing. Because now you're burned for eternity. And there's no coal to warm it up, to replace it. There's no fire sitting before it. So it's not like they're outside of the flame. There's another way that nor fire to sit before it. Why would the coal and the fire come in? Because it's not something you're being burned. You're part of the flame. So now, any comments or questions as we go to the final section? Now would be the time to raise your hands. All right. Then Charles, go ahead, unmute. Yeah, or what you just did. And go ahead when you're ready with the final section.
I'll be reading Isaiah chapter 47, verse 15 to chapter 48, verse 2. Verse 15. Thus shall they be unto thee with whom thou hast labored, even thy merchants from thy youth. They shall wander, every one to his quarter. None shall save thee. Hear ye this, O house of Jacob, which are called by the name of Israel, and are come forth out of the waters of Judah, which swear by the name of the Lord, and make mention of the God of Israel. but not in truth, nor in righteousness. For they call themselves of the holy city, and stay themselves upon the God of Israel. The Lord of hosts is his name. So we get our, well, first off, chapter 47 at the end of it, 15, it's not connected. Well, so far, it's not connected. I don't see any connection to it unless we read something else after. It ain't connected to 48. Verse 15 sounds like the ending statement for the chapter.
Oh yeah, but you didn't say if 15 was connected to 14.
15 is connected to 14.
There you go. Good.
Yeah, 15 is connected to 14.
You're like, you did the chapter, but not the verse.
Yeah, it's connected.
All right, good.
And so 15's on its own. I'll explain that, and then 1 and 2 are connected for the next one.
Good.
And what 15, with this ending statement, what it sounds like is, let me reread. Thus shall they be unto thee, with whom thou hast labored, even the merchants, from thy youth. In other words, this is, oh, that's what the end, they shall wander everyone to his quarter. This is what's going to happen to you. This is going to happen to the ones we've been talking about. Even the merchants you had, even the people that were with, like, laboring with you, working with you, growing with you. You guys are all going to be wandering, and no one's saved. You're going to be wandering, lost, no one's saved. You're lost, and you can't save yourself. No one's saved. There we go. That's a better way to say it.
Good.
Now, chapter 48. Let me make sure I say the right words. When God starts off his announcement, he's talking to the children of Israel, house of Jacob. Hear this, listen to this. The same ones that basically, I won't even go there. That's detail. He's telling them to hear this, listen to this, but he's also saying that he's also calling them the ones that swear by the Lord and make mention of the one true God, but you're not doing it in truth or righteousness. What that sounds like when God's calling that out, doesn't that sound like what like fake Christians do? How we're doing this and we're doing that, but
Yes, sir.
you're not doing it in context. So you're not really doing it in righteousness. You're not really doing it in truth. You're really doing it in a lie, whether you mean to or not. That's what verse 1, that's what God sounds like he's doing with the call out. Was I wrong?
Dang it. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
No, you're good. You're good. That was good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I
I
heard
heard you.
dang it, so I was like,
You
oh
cut off
man.
for a little bit though.
Okay. Oh, well, the last part, for they call themselves of the holy city and stay themselves upon. Oh, yeah. So isn't that still part of the call out of them claiming this and claiming that, but they're not doing it in righteousness and truth?
Exactly. Verse
Okay,
1
cool.
and 2 is literally calling out the children of Israel like, look, you claim that you are following God, but you're not doing it in truth nor in righteousness. Just like the fake Christians today, just as you said.
Got it.
So when we really break it down, ain't nothing changed but the clock on the wall.
Yeah.
Same old, same old. And it's funny because just like them, they're calling their name by the God. Oh, we are the children of the holy God. We are the children of Israel. We are the ones that are God's chosen people. You ain't doing that in truth or righteousness. You ain't really trying to do that. You're faking it.
Hmm.
So, anyways, yeah, good. Anything you want to add to that before we pray out the Bible study portion?
No.
All right. Well, since mine has been the one that's been cutting off ever since we got into Bible study, yours hasn't. It's been mine. Which is funny because yours was the one cutting off before Bible study, and now mine was the one cutting off during. I'll have you go ahead and pray us out.
All right. Go ahead and bow your heads. Father, thank you for giving us some more wonderful verses talking about not just The fakes, the comparisons of the fakes that try to follow that claim they follow your way and your will. But about the stargazers and the astrologers and another prophetic thing talking about the Chaldeans and the Babylonians. Every Bible study is there's always something to gain out of it, whether it's a new note, whether it's a new lesson, whether it's maybe something we can bring up with other people. So thank you for that. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
So now I have to make sure I remember to say there's actually there's some legitimacy to the stargazers and the horoscope and all this other stuff, but
Yeah, because I
just a
wouldn't say
little
the
bit.
horoscopes, but like at the same time, when this is something I've said before. The way that horoscopes work, they get generic things right,
Mhm.
but when you get into the specifics on the person, they get wrong. Like, for example, Aquarius. Aquarius is supposed to be someone who needs to be the center of attention, while at the same time, somebody who has a hard time expressing emotions. At the same time, a philanthropist that wants to save the world or wants to build, really make big changes in the world, so to speak. Not necessarily save, but make big changes to me.
Oh, I didn't even hear the three. It cut out.
Oh, I said of the like astrology, there's three things that it says for Aquarius they're supposed to be true. One, that they need to be the center of attention, or they're always the center of attention. Two, that they can't have a horrible time expressing their feelings. They're not good at being upfront and honest with their feelings. And three, that they're a philanthropist type that wants to change the world. And then my question is, are all three of those false when it comes to me?
Yeah. In other words, none of the above fit you. If you can hear me,
You said what? Try that again.
none of the above fit you. None of the above fit you. None of the above fit you.
Ah, incorrect. Incorrect. The philanthropist that wants to change the world is accurate. I wanted to build a whole Christian city. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, you used to want to build the Christian city. That changed though.
Yeah, but the mindset to want to change the world is there, though. You
Oh,
see what
that's
I'm
the
saying?
mindset's still there. Okay,
The
okay,
mindset's still there.
okay.
I put God first.
Yeah, yeah. I see what
But
you're saying.
so that part's accurate. But what about the center of attention, the need for that?
No,
No, I've never needed to be the center of attention, nor have I cared for it. Sometimes I end up the center of attention, no fault of my own. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I just chill on the sideline. It really it goes back and forth, but there's no desire or need to be up front and center. And then the part of having a hard time expressing their emotions or feelings. Do I have any trouble expressing what I feel or think at
no,
all?
no. You don't.
Exactly. Now, is it sometimes people confuse what I feel because they don't take me at my word? Yeah. Sometimes people think that I've been told I've been hard to read. It has happened before, but from somebody who didn't listen to what I said. I literally told them. And you see when I'm happy, I'm visually expressive in my emotions when I want. So where's the trouble in it? So 1 out of 3 was accurate. So there is and always has been some accuracy. But overall, it's absolute garbage. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
I mean, same thing with the whole Libra thing. I thought it was funny as heck when we did that whole checkup years ago about what would happen if I ended up with another Aquarius. What happened if you ended up with a Libra according to what they believe? Said I was going to rule the world. You were going to be a lovey-dovey puppy dog mess, which is crazy.
Sorry.
Mine actually makes sense on that
Oh,
aspect. Yours doesn't. I
not
could
even
never
close.
see you being a lovey-dovey puppy dog mess.
That's,
Ever.
that's what makes it so funny. I can't stop laughing. I think to myself, I don't think I can ever do that. I can't even try.
Exactly. Like the frick.
It's not in me.
Exactly. But now let's get into the Bible listening. Tonight's Bible listening. Let me get back down to it. There we go. Romans chapter 9 to 1 Corinthians chapter 10. Again, Romans chapter 9 to 1 Corinthians chapter 10. Let me know when you got it.
Got it.
All right. And last night's listening, well, technically the night before, but because of things happen. Acts chapter 23 to Romans chapter 8. And Charles, go ahead with what stuck out to you first, then I'll go ahead with what sticks out to me.
I got a brand new one. This was funny. I don't know how I didn't write this down. All the while, Acts chapter 28, verses 1 to 10. Paul and these other group that was on this ship, they get on this. Long story short, they get on this island, and on this island, it talks about there being barbarous people, like and there were diseased people too. And
You
Paul
said
had,
Acts
I
chapter
guess,
22?
28.
Oh, 28. Good. Okay, I was like, I don't know why I thought
Acts
you said
chapter
22.
28.
Okay, good.
Acts 28. Long story short, Paul goes there and he heals one of the person's I think children. Then he starts healing all of these other people on the island that were diseased. And I thought to myself, see these people on the island, they're receiving Paul in a very funny way compared to when me and you had the conversation of that Christian who said he was going to go to an indigenous place to try to preach the word of God, try to preach Jesus, and they killed him.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
that's what made me think about this. And now I have a verse because at first I was like, because this is before I came into God. I was like, oh, I don't really agree that they would be because if they killed them, does that really count against them for like salvation or for this or for that? Of course, on one hand, I gotta say this: the guy was I don't know if he prayed about it. I don't know what. The guy was dumb. I'm gonna start by that first. But secondly, they did
I can't
they
say that. I can't say that.
you can't say it was dumb.
No. Is it dumb to try to reach people that may not be reachable just because they may not be? Does that guarantee they're not? Is Hitler evil if he never does his evil things? Do you see what I'm
He wouldn't
saying?
be. So you think with him going down there, it wasn't dumb really. It was just one of those like you did
I
it and
don't
you
think
got.
you could call it dumb at all. Because here's the thing. Him having
Okay. It's
was
it had
hard to
cut out.
give it, that might have been God's opportunity to them. Oh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
him
yeah.
getting the
It, it,
heart to
it
go
might
and
have
do
been
that would be,
it might have been God's opportunity to reach them. Is that what you were saying?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Which, in my opinion, is, I mean, I honestly believe, and I hate to put it this way because it sounds bad, but it's really not. I think sometimes the reason that God allows for false Christians to go through and go to preach to these places is because He knows the outcome of what it will be, and so He's still giving them a chance without actually taking out His ones that are real.
Yeah.
So I don't think
But what
it's
it
dumb.
okay. What it did make me think about though was how he went down there to preach Jesus and they killed him versus what Paul's doing, how they received Paul versus what they did. And I thought to myself when we had that discussion, I was thinking, well, if they received that guy, that Christian guy, wouldn't they be saved now? Because he's trying to, however way he was trying to preach the indigenous people about Jesus,
Yeah,
they would possibly be saved. But
exactly.
they took that they threw that option they took that option off the table. But that's why I wrote it down, because it made me think of that conversation, and it made me think of the indigenous, not indigenous, but the ravenous people, barbarous people of the island when Paul's there versus when the other Christian went. The comparison and all of that, it just got me thinking about that. I can't believe I didn't bring this up earlier or any other time.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing too, it also goes to show even now they're still being tested, available for salvation. Think about it this way. We've known about this island for a while. It's under watch. The guy knew about it, let alone everybody else already knew about it. So, what if they had shown a signal or tried to get attention from somebody? Is there caveman level ways to get someone's attention?
Yes.
Yeah. Literally flag down, waving I don't care what ancient people, if you put a fire and you wave, that'll get someone's attention. No matter if you can speak the language or not. So when people would ask, well, that's that generation, what about the women and children? What about the younger generations? And so on and so on. They still could. What you think God's not going to save them just because the earlier generation chose? A man will not be held to account for the son's sins, nor will the son to account for the father's sins. Everyone gets put to death for their own sin. But since that time has happened, have they tried reaching out? Has anybody tried reaching out?
Right.
And as we've seen, can fear be a reason you debilitate yourself from getting salvation? Yeah. That was the whole reason the Pharisees were going to hell. That's the whole reason. They were afraid of losing their position. They liked the lifestyle they got to live. That's the bottom line. So when we go into it and we really go through, that's what you see. That's really what it boils down to. So yeah, that's a good one. All right. Now, anything you want to add before I go into mine?
No, go ahead.
All right. Then I'm going to go into Romans chapter 3 and verses 1 through. I did have it in my mind going through 6, but I feel like it should be more. All right, I'll go through 1 through 10, but I'll start off with verse 1 because this points out the point. Being Jewish, you can take this out of context to try to say that it's Jews are it's better off to be Jewish, but there are people who in false Christianity, I can put it this way, there are people in false Christianities that treat it as if Jewish people are still the chosen people, so to speak, which technicality wise is true, but realistically wise is false. And this verse section proves that point. They do have some benefit to being born Jewish, but not in realistic terms, only in technicality terms. So, verse 1, it says, What advantage then hath the Jew? Or much every way, chiefly because that unto them were committed the oracles of God. So, what's the benefit of being born Jewish? Being part of the circumcised? Your lineage is where the prophets came from. That's a benefit in it of itself. But then it goes in and continues from that. For what if some did not believe? Shall their unbelief make the faith of God without effect? So what about the bid? Yea, let God be true, but every man a liar. As it is written, that thou mightest be justified in thy sayings, and mightest overcome when thou art judged. But if our unrighteousness commend the righteousness of God, what shall we say then? Is God unrighteous who takes vengeance? I speak as a man. God forbid. For then how shall God judge the world? For if the truth of God hath more abounded through my lie unto his glory, why yet am I also judged as a sinner? And not rather as we be slanderously reported, and as some affirm that we say, let us do evil, that good may come. Whose damnation is just? What then? Are we better than they? No, in no wise. For we have before proved both Jews and Gentiles that they are all under sin. As it is written, there is none righteous, no, not one. So, what is this saying, and why did it stick out? Why is it necessary? Because, yes, under the New Testament, Jews and Gentiles are equal. There is no separation. But that doesn't mean there wasn't a benefit to Judaism, to the lineage. That doesn't mean that they weren't God's chosen people. And yes, we are equal under it, but that doesn't mean that. That doesn't take away from that. Just because we have salvation now, this is literally putting in that question, how could God, knowing what the children of Israel would be, knowing the sinfulness, setting them up in the way they did, how could he possibly judge the world if he allowed that? If he set that up? Who is he to judge anybody? And it answers that question. Yes, they may be chosen people, but no, God is not unrighteous. God is not a false judge just because of their unrighteousness. Because there are Gentiles that are sinners. There is generations in both parties, the old covenant to the new covenant, and Jew and Gentile. On all four sides, there are sinner and righteous. And so that's the point of it. Just because he used their sinfulness to prove the incapability of following the law, to lead to grace, does not mean he's wrong for condemning them for their sin. Because they still were sinners. Just as Gentiles, there are still Gentiles that are sinners. So that answers that question. The whole question of if God made people that are going to sin, then how can he judge them? Because they still had to choose to do so. All of us had sin. In other words, let me add this to it too. We all deserve hell. Everyone throughout all of history and currently and the future, past, present, future, we all deserve it except for one person. And he was God's son and God in the flesh. The only person to do it perfectly with no sin. So if we all deserve hell, but God makes a way for those that so choose him, that are willing to put him first, to not have to go to the lake of fire, then that's his prerogative. You know, it's a good example that this makes me think of, Charles? A perfect example. You
Go.
got 4 children in this example: 2 daughters, 2 sons. And every single one of them lie to you 24/7. Every single one of them steals money from your wallet on a weekly basis. Every single one of them has physically tried to stab you or harm you in some kind of way, and you offer them up a chance. Listen, you can't stay in my house still if you're going to continue to do this. And I know you've done all this wrong, but I'm going to give you the opportunity. If you are willing to choose me and follow what I say to the best of your ability, then you can stay here and be forgiven of what you've done. But if you don't choose me, you're going to be kicked out to the streets where there are more violent people, stronger people. In other words, you're going to have to deal with more pain than you'll ever be willing or capable of dealing with. It'll be too much for you. That's your choice. For the ones that choose it, does that judge because you're condemning the other 3? No, because they all deserved the condemnation. You just gave a way out if they were willing to choose it. That's how it is for Christianity and grace. That's how it is for choosing God. We all deserve hell. We don't deserve heaven. So choose him. We get the opportunity to escape hell and to go to heaven. And more specifically, hell, I mean the lake of fire. But we're already set to go that way. It's not even like we haven't done anything wrong, and then God tells us, follow me or I'm sending you to hell. It's not even like that. It's literally, you're already going, but I'm giving you a way out if you're willing to choose it. So that's why that sticks out to me. Does that make sense, Charles?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Anything you want to add to it?
No,
All right. Then anything you want to add or say before we close it out?
no.
All right, then I'll go ahead and close it out. I'm going to call you in a second, though, so don't go to sleep just yet.
I was about to say I can't go to sleep. I got to call the company right after.
Okay, then call me after you're done with calling the company.